I thank the chairman, and I thank him for the hearing. I thank our panelists for your expert testimony and passionate feelings. I want to commend Rosa DeLauro, who is the author of the Family Act, who was here, and every bit as feisty, as the chairman pointed out, as her mother was, and having known them both, and Senator Dodd, who introduced the Family and Medical Leave Act on a federal level, I want to commend them. Our witnesses today have, I think, provided us with an opportunity. I think there's general consensus here with respect to the need and the concern. But where we differ is when it comes to the reality of, well, then how do you pay for this? Now, this is a common theme in Congress. As the chairman of the Social Security Subcommittee, everybody agrees with the importance of Social Security. They understand that if we do nothing, it'll be cut by 20%. That if we kick the can down the road and do nothing, that these cuts continue to take place. There are those that would advocate privatization of Social Security. And I note that a number of our colleagues, and of course the proposals today, I think are all worthy, and they should be examined in terms of what they will accomplish. And Ms. Manning, you spent a great deal of time talking about the Family Act, but we heard nothing positive or constructive about what you would actually propose or your organization would propose in terms of an actual policy, even though on your website it would show cutting Social Security or privatizing Social Security as a path forward. And I don't know, do you think that that is a path forward?
IWF has supported a variety of proposals to expand access to paid family and medical leave, including the earned leave proposal that you mentioned, because these proposals suit our principles of policies that actually enhance the choices available to workers rather than taking choices away. And I would include, in addition to the earned leave proposal, the proposal that Representative Stefanik presented, as well as support for tax credits and tax-free savings accounts, reforms to health savings accounts and flexible savings accounts that could allow workers to better prepare for leave. The Working Families Flexibility Act.
You mentioned also that the inequities that exist. Ms. Rollet, during the testimonies, Ms. Manning said, in fact, it would exacerbate inequalities. Does cutting Social Security by raising retirement age help or harm women?
Thank you for the question. Based on what we know, given the requirements of cutting and dipping into your economic security, we estimate that this has the potential for expanding and increasing some of the wealth gap disparities that we see, particularly around gender.
So the wealth gap disparities already exist, and this would only further exacerbate those inequalities that already exist. How about for women of color specifically?
Well, we do know that the biggest drivers of the growing racial wealth gap are household income, unemployment, inheritance. And so, as I mentioned previously, we know that often women of color disproportionately bear the burden of being both care providers and caregivers in their work and in their home. And so we expect to see that for this population, the potential for job loss, income loss would potentially have catastrophic impact on their families.
And for low-income workers?
Specifically as well for low-income workers who often don't have the cushion in order to stem this type of catastrophic shock to their families. And oftentimes, most folks who are bearing the burden of the cost are doing so by, charging to high-cost credit cards, those types of spaces.
As Mr. Lewis on our committee has pointed out, that Social Security and its inequities that exist there are the big civil rights movement of the future, primarily because of the inequities that exist, especially amongst people of color and especially in women specifically. This notion that we can never adjust anything because one size fits all, I find particularly interesting as well, since Social Security is a one-size-fits-all bill. It also covers disability, it also covers dependent children and spouses and a death benefit. Do the panelists think that that's a bad outcome than one size that fits all for Social Security. Not everybody uses their disability policy either, but when they need it, it's there to save and protect the American people who we're sworn to serve. I yield back.